Hi everyone, I'm Abigail. This is Khalifa, and welcome to another Two Kids Dinner.
We are joined by award-winning author Meredith Ireland.
Ms. Ireland has written two young adult novels, The Jasmine Project and Everyone Hates Kelsey Milk.
This year, she also has had short stories featured in the anthologies You Are Here and When We Became Ours, which came out 2 weeks ago.
And in January 2024, Ms. Ireland's first middle grade novel, Emma and the Love Spell, comes out.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start by talking about Emma and the Love Spell.
We were lucky enough to get an advanced copy and on our sister channel,
Two Kid Reviews,
reviewed it and loved it.
Can you tell our audience a little about the book?
And how you came up with the idea?
Sure. So I loved the thought of writing a girl who had magic powers but couldn't control them, because it's fantasy, but it's so relatable, right? Like you have this like secret power you have that you don't have complete control over it yet. So Emma is about a girl who moves to an upstate New York town, and she wakes up and has magic powers, and they go out of control with her emotions. She's new to town. She's made one friend, and that friend is about to move out of town because her parents want to get divorced. And so she has told her parents she'll never, ever use her magic. But she starts thinking, well, what if my magic can get Evangeline's parents back together, and then everything will be fine.
Okay, Khalifa has been dying to ask you this for over 3 months. Go ahead.
Any chance we get to see Emma's tale continue in a sequel to Emma and the Love Spell?
So there's no plans right now, but I would never rule it out.
We are curious. The book cover looks very girly.
And I don't do girly.
But the book isn't very girly, though.
Right. I thought it was great.
We thought it would be awesome for anyone. Is the cover a concern at all?
So I think with the cover, what we wanted to get across was that the way that she's using her magic is to make two people fall in love. That was the goal. And then it involves the cake, which is why on her shirt it has the cake on it. And then when they designed the cover, they really wanted to run with it to make, that this pink background, these hearts, to have, this magic swirling. So I would say it's a little more, it edges towards feminine, I guess, like early. But I think that it has the cat, it has the cockatoo. I think it does capture like the overall feeling of the book.
There is more representation in books now than ever before.
You and your books are a part of that trend. Is that something that's important to you?
It's really important to me. So when I was your age, I never saw anybody who looked like me on the cover of any books. I never read anything that had a Korean adoptee, or I never read anything that had anybody Korean at all, to be honest with you. So it's really important to me that there aren't other kids that feel that way.
What is the most meaningful interaction you've had when talking to a student during a school visit?
So let's see. I love the questions. The questions are always so good. They're probably more to the point than an adult would ask, which I love. And I love hearing about what kids are writing, what they're interested in. I love the kids who also want to be authors, telling me about what they're working on. That's probably been the most fun. And the most meaningful would probably be my daughter, who is 10, coming and signing a book with me.
What is your process when putting the book together?
Do you decide the end before the middle?
Or do you put it together in order?
So I write in order. When I wrote Emma and the Love Spell, the way it was sold is something called on proposal. So I wrote about, I think 30, 50 pages, something like that, and then gave them, where I kind of thought the book was going overall. And that's how Bloomsbury bought it. And then I kind of had to just write it from there.
Emma and the Love Spell, Emma has a crush on her best friend, who's a girl.
That means there are probably places in the country the book gets banned, along with other books that get banned in those places, making many kids that won't be able to see themselves represented in books.
Can you give us your feelings on this?
Sure. So, I asked my publisher, what happens? What happens if it does get banned? And she said, we will fully stand by the book. We will support you. We will continue to try to get it into libraries, try to get it into book fairs. She's like, but we are aware that that's happened because it's happened to some of their other books before. I think that it's really unfortunate what's happening, but I do think that it provides that representation, that feeling where magic and having a crush on your best friend, having the crush on the best friend is not the issue in that book. It's just one of the storylines. The bigger issue is her controlling her magic. But I wanted it to be seen so that other kids know that they're not alone.
You are part of the anthology with amazing authors. You are here. It's a little different than most anthologies, as the stories are interconnected. I want to know, what were the Zoom calls like with all those amazing authors together?
So it was pretty incredible. They're award-winning authors. They are, Ellen and Erin and Christina. They are, they've won awards that I haven't even, thought of. It was such a good collaborative process for people who are very, very familiar with middle grade, who had these great ideas, but we were all really contributing. We had a ton of emails going back and forth about where it should be set, what the airport should look like. Should we set it in a real place, or should we set it in an airport that we kind of design on our own? I was back and forth with Erin and
It's a little
Kelly
different than most anthologies,
our
as the stories are interconnected.
And then
I want to know,
Ellen would come in and
what
say, "Oh,
were
I
the
think
Zoom
we also
calls
want to
like
connect it to
with all
Randy's."
those amazing authors
So
together?
it was really collaborative, and
So
it was
nice to
pretty
get to know those
incredible.
other authors.
They're award.
Can you tell us your thoughts, and if you are concerned at all about
Ellen
artificial intelligence and its future impact on
Christina?
publishing?
They are, they've won awards that I haven't even, thought of. It's an interesting. It was such a good collaborative process to us, to authors, to people who are very, very familiar with middle grade, who had these great ideas, but it feels like you're contributing our hard work, ton of emails going back and forth about make something where it should be set, what the airport should look like. Should we set it in a real place, or should we set it in an airport that we kind of design on our own? Uses of it that artists themselves use to create art in a more efficient way. Like if our somebody who's drawing can then replicate some of their art, come in and say, "Oh, I think," but it's for them. Then it could have a really good use. It could have a really good use. It was really collaborative, and it was so nice to get to know those other authors on their own series. But it's when it belongs to them, when that technology is opted in and closed. When it's more of an open source, which is kind of what we're dealing with right now. It's not terribly different from people taking your work, which isn't a great feeling.
What writer has had the most influence on you?
Let's see. So for Kid Lit, for middle grade, I would say Rashani. So she wrote Arusha, and I just loved it. And I think that was possibly the first middle grade that I read, because by the time middle grade really became a category, I was older than that. And then for my children hadn't aged into it yet. So when I read Arusha, it really opened my eyes to what middle grade could be. And then Erin and Trada Kelly, I love her books. I think that the voice and the characters are so unique. I think she's great.
What advice do you have for young writers?
Read. So the best thing that you can do for yourself and to hone your voice and to see what works and what doesn't work is to read. The more you read, the more you are aware of what good story is, and also kind of what doesn't work and what doesn't work for you. It really, not only is it entertaining, but it also helps with your own story.
That's big advice.
Do you have a smaller tip, something that you do when you are writing?
That maybe a lot of people don't.
Let's see. For an adult, it's kind of funny because you always have your phone on you. So the best thing is to actually put your phone away, like put it on a timer or something. There's like some apps that'll like kill a little virtual tree if you start, messing around on your phone while you're supposed to be writing. But finding somebody to write with is probably the most helpful little tip. So I'll text a writer friend of mine and I'll say, sprint with me for 15 minutes. Let's just phones down. I'm on page 159 and 15 minutes from now, let's get back to each other and tell each other our progress, because there's just accountability in that. There's focus in that. And it really helps with getting the words out, because you really don't want to come back 15 minutes later and say you got like 4 words. So it's a little embarrassing to say that.
Actually, we used to have like some challenges like don't go on your phone. Remember? Can you tell us about a project you are working on now?
So yes, but it's under a pen name because it's adult. So I have an adult trilogy coming out in May. So it starts in May and it's really big. It's going to be in let's see, the UK, France, Germany, Italy. It'll be on audiobook. We have some film interest. So it's been wild, and it's been kind of it's pushed me more into the adult fantasy sphere, but I still love middle grade fantasy. And I do have my next book with Bloomsbury that'll come out, will likely be 2026, but it'll be based on Korean mythology in Brooklyn.
Finally, it's time for Turbo 10.
10 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Number 1, what's your favorite phrase to use?
In writing or just generally?
Generally.
Oh, let's see. I mean, I really don't know. Favorite phrase. God, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. Let's see. Do your best. I think that's probably what I wind up saying the most to my kids and to myself at this point.
Number 2, what is one subject you'd love to learn more about?
So I've been learning Korean mythology to write the next middle grade, and also to incorporate some of it into the adult fantasy, but I'd love to learn more.
Number 3, what is your go-to snack food?
Oh, popcorners.
Number 4, what was your favorite book growing up?
Oh gosh, Jane Eyre.
Number 5, if you could teleport somewhere right now, where would you go?
Italy.
Number 6, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, invisibility.
Number 7, what was your favorite cartoon as a kid?
DuckTales.
Number 8, what is your favorite rainy day activity?
Reading.
Number 9, if you could have any 3 dinner guests, who would they be?
Any 3, I'm sorry?
Dinner guests.
Dinner guests. Let's see. My best friend, my dad, and my husband.
No, and finally, number 10, what is the best piece of advice you were ever given?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably that, when you're writing, you would tend to, so writing is very solitary, but then all of a sudden your book goes out and you kind of start comparing yourself to other people, and kind of eyes on your own paper would be probably the best. Even as far as like when you're first drafting it, when you're trying to get a literary agent, when you're trying to get a publisher, your journey will be completely different from everybody else's, and that's okay.
You were awesome. Thank you so much for doing it.
And thank you for spending this time with us.
We can't wait to read your future books.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.